What would you do if a single flag could unravel a neighborhood's peace, exposing secrets and forcing apologies no one saw coming? In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where manicured lawns and polite smiles hid simmering tensions, a storm was brewing. It started with a simple piece of fabric that meant everything to my dad, Henry, and nothing but trouble to Karen Whitlock. Henry, a retired veteran, had always flown a modest American flag in our front yard. It wasn't just decor. It was a symbol of his service, his sacrifice, and the friends he'd lost in Vietnam. Every morning, he'd raise it with a quiet reverence, his weathered hands steady despite the arthritis creeping in. To him, that flag was a tether to his past, a reminder of why he'd fought. To Karen, our next-door neighbor, it was an eyesore, a provocation, a violation of her pristine vision for the neighborhood. Karen was the kind of woman who wielded her homeowners association rulebook like a scepter. She had a reputation, the self-appointed guardian of Willow Creek's aesthetics, always ready with a complaint about an overgrown hedge or an unapproved mailbox. But her latest crusade was personal. She claimed Dad's flagpole was 2 inches too tall, a breach of HOA regulations. She'd stand on her porch, arms crossed, her blonde bob swaying as she lectured anyone within earshot about standards. Dad, ever the peacemaker, offered to lower the pole, but Karen wasn't satisfied. She demanded the flag be removed entirely. "Why does it have to be so in your face?" she'd said one evening, her voice sharp as she stood on our doorstep. "This isn't a military base, Henry. It's a community." Dad's jaw tightened, but he kept his tone even. "It's my right, Karen. I earned it." The argument escalated over weeks. Karen sent letters, citing obscure HOA clauses. She rallied neighbors, though most stayed neutral, unwilling to cross either a veteran or the HOA's queen bee. My sister, Lila, and I watched it unfold, torn between anger and disbelief. Lila, a fiery 19-year-old, wanted to confront Karen, but Dad insisted we stay out of it. "She'll burn herself out," he said, but Karen didn't. She filed a formal complaint with the HOA demanding a $500 fine and the flag's removal by the end of the month. That's when Marcus, our mail carrier, entered the story. Marcus was a quiet man, always humming jazz tunes as he delivered letters. He'd served in the Gulf War and shared a bond with Dad over their military past. One afternoon, as Karen's campaign intensified, Marcus lingered at our mailbox, his dark eyes scanning the street. "You know," he said to me, "Karen's got her own secrets. That perfect house of hers? It's not as clean as she thinks." I didn't think much of it at first. Marcus was friendly but cryptic, always dropping half hints about the neighborhood's underbelly. But his words stuck with me, especially as Karen's attacks grew bolder. She started showing up at HOA meetings with photos of Dad's flag, claiming it devalued the neighborhood. She even posted on the community board, calling the flag divisive. The irony wasn't lost on us, Karen, who drove a gas-guzzling SUV and never recycled, preaching about community values. The twist came at the next HOA meeting. Dad, tired of the harassment, agreed to attend, though he hated public speaking. Lila and I went for moral support, expecting another Karen-led tirade. The room was tense, neighbors shifting uncomfortably as Karen presented her case, her voice dripping with self-righteous indignation. She projected a photo of Dad's flag on a screen, pointing out its non-compliant height with a laser pointer. "This is about rules," she said. "No one's above them." Then Marcus stood up. He'd never attended an HOA meeting before, and his presence drew curious glances. He cleared his throat, holding a manila envelope. "Karen's got a point about rules," he said, his voice steady but laced with something sharp. "But maybe we should talk about her violations first." The room went silent. Karen's face paled as Marcus opened the envelope and pulled out photos, clear, time-stamped images of her backyard. An unpermitted shed, built without HOA approval, a fence that violated height restrictions, and, most damning, a collection of exotic plants, some of which were invasive species banned by local ordinance. Marcus, it turned out, wasn't just a mail carrier. He was a hobbyist photographer with a knack for noticing what others overlooked. He'd been documenting Karen's infractions for months, tired of her hypocrisy. "I've got more," Marcus said, handing the photos to the HOA president, Mrs. Patel. "She's been dodging fines for years while pointing fingers at everyone else." Karen stammered, her composure crumbling. "This is irrelevant," she snapped. "We're here to discuss Henry's flag." But Mrs. Patel wasn't having it. She reviewed the evidence, her lips pursed. The meeting turned into a reckoning. Neighbors, emboldened by Marcus's move, began airing their own grievances about Karen, her late-night parties, her unregistered rental unit, her habit of letting her dog roam free. By the end, Karen faced a $3,000 fine for multiple violations, far steeper than the $500 she tried to pin on Dad. The HOA also voted to dismiss her complaint, allowing Dad's flag to stay. The final blow came a week later. The city, alerted by Marcus's photos, investigated Karen's property and confirmed the invasive plants. They ordered her to remove them and issue a public apology in the community newsletter for endangering the local ecosystem. Karen's apology was curt, barely masking her humiliation. She avoided eye contact with us after that, her reign as Willow Creek's enforcer effectively over. But the victory felt hollow. Dad, who'd never wanted a fight, grew quieter. One evening, as we sat on the porch, the flag fluttering above us, he admitted something that broke my heart. "I didn't want her to hurt like that," he said, his voice heavy. "I just wanted to keep my flag." Lila, always quick to anger, didn't understand. "She deserved it, Dad. She came for you." He shook his head. "No one deserves to be torn down like that. Not even Karen." I saw it then, the weight of his compassion, even for someone who'd tried to erase his pride. Dad's flag wasn't just about his service. It was about his belief in second chances, in the messy humanity of even the worst among us. Karen's fall wasn't just a fine or an apology. It was the unraveling of her carefully curated facade, exposing her to the judgment she'd so freely dealt out. And yet, Dad didn't revel in it. He mourned it. Months later, Karen moved away. Her house sold to a young couple who waved at us daily. Marcus kept delivering mail, his jazz hums a little louder. Dad's flag still flew, but he raised it slower now, as if each motion carried the weight of the fight. I wondered if he saw Karen's face in the fabric, a reminder that even battles won could leave scars. The neighborhood returned to its quiet rhythm, but something lingered, a bitterness no one spoke of. Karen's demands had sparked a war, and though we'd won, the cost was a fracture in the community's heart. Dad's compassion, Marcus's courage, and Karen's downfall showed me that justice could be as painful as defeat. Sometimes the hardest endings aren't the ones you lose, but the ones where everyone pays a price. ND